Hey, sports card collectors and investors, how is everybody doing this morning? I'm not doing so well. I'm struggling a little bit to just kind of wrap my head around how the Mavs got absolutely smoked last night. I'm kidding. I mean, look, this is kind of what happens when, the Clippers are hitting on all cylinders and, our best player's on a bum ankle and then our number two, Porzingis, is out. The role players for the Mavs are great, but to overcome that, I just think, it's basically Luka against, Paul George, Kawhi. I mean, Lou Williams is playing like a bona fide superstar in the league. What's he scoring 35 points a game? I mean, these guys are lights out. That's before you even get to the rest of the guys on the roster. So, well-deserved win for the Clippers. They really just made every shot. I mean, they were knocking everything down. They played some good defense. I do think that Marcus Morris, or I don't know, is that the right brother? Anyway, Morris stepped on Luka's ankle. The guy's just, I would say he's pretty borderline as far as being a dirty player. And he's just kind of, his MO is just being kind of like, cocky and talks a lot on the floor, even though he scores like 5 points a game. But regardless, the Clippers outplayed the Mavs, and that's really the end of it. And, there's a reason why the Clippers are the number 2 seed. They've got playoff experience. Really, the Mavs were not supposed to win this series. So we'll see if they can get magical over the last couple days. But the Clippers won last night. It was a well-deserved win for them. So we will move on from that. Today, we're not talking basketball. We're talking football, folks. We are talking about 6 cards that are under $100 that have been trending, and I am using the card ladder data tool. Let me say that it is not the only data tool out there. There are others. Market Movers has a tool. Card Genie is another app that does a great job with their My Collection feature, and then they also incorporate eBay sales. So there are multiple data tools. If you don't like data tools, don't use one. It's not any sort of necessity. What I like about Card Ladder's data tool in particular, I'm using their historical data that goes all the way back years and years, which is very helpful when I'm trying to talk about this stuff. So let's go ahead and dig right into it. The first card on my list, and I will say a lot of these cards bring me joy because these are the cards from my childhood. These aren't necessarily all modern football cards. We've got the 1989 score, Deion Sanders primetime rookie card, and a PSA 9. Now, pop reports are a little high for these. Now, in comparison to some basketball cards, these are not high pop reports at all. But in a PSA 9, Deion's got 2,301 of these out there. But, this card is $55 to $60 for a Hall of Fame corner. He might be the best cornerback of all time to play in the NFL. He's right up there. He is right up there. The 89 scorecard, you either like it or don't like kind of the portrait. It's got like 90s or 80s, 90s Deion. He's a kid. And, I just like how those 89 scorecards look. That's like a nostalgia thing for me. So I'm going to try to pick one of these up if I can find one. They were as low, at the end of last year, they were as low as $27, $30. They've been as high as $78 to $80, and now they've kind of settled in at that $55, $60 range. So if you're looking, and a lot of people don't necessarily look at 89 as vintage, but for a modern collector, for that younger group, I'm sure they would consider 89 score to be somewhat vintage for them. It's a guy that's not playing anymore. It is a Hall of Famer. And so, that's where we, have to kind of look at these and make calls on it. But football cards in general are just not priced anywhere near as high as some of these other, sports, whether it be baseball or basketball. They have not gotten the same sort of hobby love. So I like this value here. I'm going to take a look at this one. And that is it. That's our first card, Prime Time. All right, next up we've got a guy that's rising. I'm not high on this guy yet, okay? A lot of people are, have this guy as a second coming. It's Drew Lock, the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. He's definitely shown flashes. He's shown a lot of good stuff. But man, there's a lot of QBs in the NFL that have shown some good stuff. So I'm just curious to see how this pans out. This is his 2019 Prism base and a PSA 9. In April, this card was $26 on average. Now we're looking at $86. The pop on this one, which I assume is growing, is at 391, so not a huge pop. And I think that's one thing that helps football cards, even though they don't have the same demand as maybe basketball, baseball. They're typically less and less of them have been graded. So there is some added scarcity there, and maybe that makes up a little bit for there being a little bit less demand there. So Drew Lock is that second card. What do you guys think? Is he going to lead the Broncos? Is he the next John Elway? Is he going to lead them to the promised land? I'm just not sure yet on Drew. But at these prices, this isn't breaking the bank necessarily to get in and take a chance on Drew Lock. Next up, I thought this was interesting. 2007 Topps Chrome Darrelle Revis rookie card. Again, one of the best corners to ever play the game. This guy was an absolute lockdown corner in his prime. And even beyond his prime a little, he did an excellent job in coverage. So this is a PSA 10 copy. There's only 50 of these out there, which is probably another reason why pricing has fluctuated. So what's interesting is this card now is about $90. And we're in kind of this age where sports cards are at all-time highs, the prices. It was actually more expensive in February of 2017. There was a sale at $96. I'm assuming that, and I haven't looked up exactly, when the Patriots won that last Super Bowl, but I'm assuming maybe that was right after the Patriots won the Super Bowl with Revis on the team, but I'm not sure. I just have to assume that's what gave him the bump, but I'm not sure on that. But yeah, it's kind of nice to see a defensive player, trending like that, because the defensive players in football don't get any love, and there's a lot of cool cards out there of them. There's and we covered Charles Woodson a few weeks ago as kind of one of those guys that could go into the Hall of Fame here soon. And his rookie cards, I think, were in that same. I think it was a Topps Chrome rookie cards, couple $100. So anyway, there's definitely some value if you compare these to other sports. All right, this one makes me smile. This is one from my childhood. I did have a couple copies of this card, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I just stared at it all day. 1989 Pro Set Barry Sanders PSA 10. Now, granted, mine wasn't graded. They didn't grade back then. The pop is fairly high at 2,099 of these, but to be honest, I'm surprised there's not more just based on how many were printed. But it's difficult to get. It's like, even if there's a bunch of people throwing these over to PSA to get graded, how many of these cards are going to gem in at 10 when it's 31 years old? I mean, maybe they will. Maybe that pop report for PSA 10 will go up to 10,000, but I just can't imagine it will. I can't imagine there's another 8,000 gem mint copies out there. Maybe there are. But that's a card that I love this card. And it's been kind of up and down. It's about $75 to $100 now in a PSA 10. It's been as high as $250 as of a couple months ago. So interesting fluctuation. I'm not sure what kicked that price up a couple months ago. Maybe it was, that's when pricing really kind of went up, was April, May. So maybe that's what it is. But anyway, that card just brings me joy to look at. So I'm excited that it's on this list. All right, next, 2005 Topps Aaron Rodgers rookie in a PSA 9. The pop report on this one, 949. So again, not a ton of them. And because I think maybe this is base Topps, it's like a paper Topps Chrome, a paper Topps rookie card for Aaron Rodgers. The pricing is not very high. I mean, in February, $51, and now they're right at $90, $90 to $100. So certainly, not expensive if you're looking to get in on Rodgers. I know he's got a few rookie cards to choose from, but that one kind of stuck out to me a little bit. And I'm going to take a closer look at Rodgers, especially with him coming towards the end of his career. He's got the Hall of Fame coming up in the next 5 years probably for him. So, I think it's worth taking a harder look at him. All right, and lastly, we've got a guy that's rising. He's been on everybody's radar. He's no secret. It's Josh Allen. And I think it's just, it's hard to feel bullish on the Patriots. I know I don't want to second guess the Sith Lord, Bill Belichick, but, he doesn't have Tom Brady. He's got 8 or 9 guys sitting out that have opted out. The Bills have just ascended in that division. They were already competing for that division last year with their defense, with Josh Allen getting another year. Now he's got some playoff experience. They picked up Stephon Diggs. It's hard not to be bullish on the Bills right now. and his 2018 base raw card just a couple weeks ago was $57. Now it's at $82. So again, you're not breaking the bank really to get in on it. And now again, we're talking about a raw card, so condition can vary, pricing can vary, a lot of different variables with these. But I wanted to put that out there and just kind of see your thoughts. What are your thoughts on these guys? Are you going more in on some of these more vintage Hall of Fame football players that aren't playing anymore, or are you kind of throwing some money more at the Josh Allens and the some of the younger guys, the Drew Locks, these up and comers? I would even call Baker Mayfield one of these guys, where he's got a couple years under his belt, but he hasn't really broken out yet. There's a lot of QBs like that in the NFL, and that's where I have a hard time kind of picking and choosing between them, is because there's a lot of these fringe guys, and it's like, who's going to break out from the pack once we don't have a Roethlisberger, a Rodgers, a Tom Brady, a Drew Brees? Who's next? Who are the guys that are next up in line? And I think that's part of the fun of this. But I'd like to hear from you. Who are the next guys that are coming up? And for those of you that have, I get Josh Allen. Talk to me about Drew Lock. If you've stocked up on Drew Lock, I want to understand why. It's not a judgment. I like the kid for sure. But is there something maybe I don't know? Maybe I can learn something from you on it. Or any of these other QBs that are coming up, maybe some sleepers that you've been looking at. And then running backs, wide receivers. Who are you going in on that front? Defensive players. Have you stocked up on defensive players? There's a mindset that with sports cards rising dramatically that the NFL is kind of next. Like football cards haven't gotten as much love. I know they've gotten more love over the last 6 months, but are we going to see a surge over the season when the season starts and guys are playing, etc.? So let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Thank you very much for joining. We have almost, I think this actually might be video number 200. It's 199 or 200. We're getting up there. So if you have not subscribed yet, please get on the bandwagon. We just crossed over 2,500 subscribers, so we're cooking and we're growing at a nice pace, and we're excited to have you. So thank you again for joining, and we will talk to you again later.